The Forgotten Ones, America's Homeless Youth by Rachel Jefferson. The attended audience is Texas House members Representative Alma Allen and Harold V. Dalton Jr. I chose this topic because I have seen it firsthand in my own family and understand that there are complex reasonings to how homeless youth end up in these predicaments, some of which will be discussed, as well as some viable solutions that can help improve the statistical aspect of homeless youth in America. Introduction. Food, shelter, love, and support. Everyone should have access to food, shelter, love, and support. The sad fact is many homeless individuals in America lack these attributes, some of which are homeless youth. This presentation will address key issues regarding youth homelessness in America, such as why is the issue prevalent to date? How did this demographic end up in this situation? Do they have family members available to help them? What services are available to help and improve their lives to ensure long term success? That is the ultimate goal for most organizations that work with homeless youth in specific because they want to allow them to gain the knowledge needed to have gainful employment and sustain stable living arrangements. We will discuss more in detail in the following slides. The first thing we need to address is who is classified as a homeless youth. What organizations define this group of individuals and what ways specifically? Some government agencies and programs define homeless youth in various ways. McKinney and Vento Act 2002 defines a homeless youth as an individual who lacks stable, fixed, regular, and adequate residence at night, or they are without regular sleeping accommodations, perhaps even reside with the older person in a shared residence which was lost due to one's housing or economic hardship, or they may live in a welfare hotel. The Runaway and Homeless Youth Act defines a homeless youth as an individual who is under the age of 18 or the legal age that is permitted by that state or local law. They are unable to live in a safe environment with a relative and lack safe alternative living arrangements. The specific language or wording of the definition may vary. However, the consistent pattern and theme is a homeless youth is an individual that lacks safe, permanent housing. This chart shows the percentage of homeless people who are unaccompanied children and youth in 2014. The chart provides a numerical perspective on the problem plaguing the United States. The lightest blue identifies states with 5% or lower homeless unaccompanied children and youth. These states are Kansas, they're also Utah, New York City, Rhode Island, just to name a few. The next shade darker is 5 to 10%. That area is Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, just to name a few. The next shade is 10 to 15%. That's places like Louisiana, also Montana, and surprisingly, Alaska as well. The darkest shade is 15% or more. And there is technically only one state in the United States that had that percentage as of 2014, and that was Nevada. Why are certain states' percentage higher than others? Do you see a trend in the data on the chart? The next slide will examine more statistics and figures regarding youth homelessness. Some current figures available is 550,000 and 2.8 million youth live on the streets, according to different statistics. One half of homeless youth will experience homelessness as an adult, showing that this is a perpetuated cycle that if you had these circumstances to take place as a youth, you then are at a higher risk to end up experiencing it later on in life, regardless to how hard you work. And that's a scary thought. Only 3% of homeless ninth graders will graduate with a 4-year degree. A staggering figure, only 3%. Higher rates of psychiatric disorders, physical and sexual abuse, and, and suicide is seen with homeless youth. In addition, they are 5 times more likely to use hallucinogens, 4 times more likely to use heroin, and 7 times more likely to use crack than non homeless counterparts. Furthermore, we will discuss the reasons why youth homelessness exists. For example, between 20 to 40% of the homeless and runaway youths classify their sexual orientation as LGBTQ. This is a big, big problem in this population because there are not a lot of shelters that cater to individuals that are in the LGBTQ community. Risk factors: family conflict, family hardship, aging out of the foster care system, just ran away from home, kicked out for lifestyle choices, teen pregnancy. Why are some of America's next generation living on the street? It is a question that runs through the mind of many when they see homeless youths on the street. Some youths experience homelessness because of family hardship or conflict. They may have issues with a step parent or with their biological parent that then cause them to feel that it's safer to be on the street than be inside of the household. aging out of the foster care system, and coming upon a society that's not as welcoming to these individuals that went through a lot as a kid, and now they're left pushed out of the system with no support, no continued resources or help to get stabilized and become a part of society. Some are dealing with family members that are not understanding to their sexual orientation and thus feel that they don't want that in their home and kick their child out. Or the child may feel stifled by keeping themselves inside of a box and wanting to do what their parents want, but then fighting and struggling with their self identity. Teen pregnancy is also an issue because families do not want to deal with the shame of a teenager that's pregnant. And how would that reflect on them? So rather than let them and allow them to be in the family and seen by friends, neighbors, community leaders, they choose to push them away and tell them that they have to go fend for themselves now because they're an adult. They're bringing a life into the world. Most often, youth allude to the family conflict as the reason for their homelessness. And when a youth believes his or her family is not a viable form of support, they will turn to the streets. Adolescents and youth between the ages of 10 and 18 have an 1 in 7 chance of being a runaway. Adolescents between the ages of 12 and 17 are more likely to be homeless than adults, and 3 out of 4 runaways are females. Runaway and homeless youth report that physical abuse was most prevalent with 46%, followed by emotional abuse at 38% and sexual abuse at 17%. Federal resources. In 1974, Congress passed the Runaway Youth Act of 1974 to support runaways outside of the child welfare and juvenile justice system and have expanded throughout the years. The growth of the RHYP, the Runaway and Homeless Youth Program, led to subsidies for 3 programs which are basic center, transitional, and street outreach. Federal resources help to reduce youth homelessness in America, but more needs to be done to help combat this problem. Recommendations. Additional funding for SOP and electronic case management. The government should increase funding for street outreach program, SOP, because outreach efforts are considered the first step in connecting homeless youth to services and have shown promising outcomes. In addition, a few EMC sessions increase perceptions of EMC as a viable resource among homeless youth. Now we will discuss the street outreach programs more in depth. The SOP or street outreach programs provide education, treatment, counseling, and referrals to homeless youth throughout America. Homeless youths receive referrals, counseling, treatment, and education for, from the SOP and private and community-based public organizations, which are authorized to apply to get SOP grants to increase their budget so that they can do more grassroots activities and tactics to engage a community and a subculture that tries to hide away from help because they're scared that if they give their name or they give their information, they're going to be brought back to the same place that they tried to get away from. Furthermore, the goal of an outreach worker is to establish an open, trusting relationship with the youth while fostering connections to services or referrals, which can be in the form of psychological, medical, or social resources. A strength based outreach model emphasizes the relationship between advocates and clients and includes a focus on strengths rather than pathology, and includes an aggressive outreach with client driven interventions. In addition to SOP, the recommendations are considered in utilizing electronic case management because it increases the responses and trust from a homeless youth. Electronic case management, ECM. Some of the benefits of electronic case management systems are increased responses, increased trust, and decreased spending. Case management develops social adjusting among homeless youth in a variety of ways, but negative previous experiences may interrupt the process. For example, high staff turnover in case managers and distrust of others from prior abuse and victimization by adult caregivers leave homeless youth with limited hope in the procedures used. They look at talking to this case manager who said that they were going to help, but now they left their job because they're going to see if they can make more resources and revenue and a salary. So now that individual who was looking for this help thought that they could connect with someone. They lost that connection. And to reestablish every single time they have a new case manager, it's hard to where they feel as if I don't really want to do this. I don't think no one really cares about me enough to try to make sure that I'm helped even after they leave the job. No one connects deeper. However, the participation in a few ECM sessions increased perceptions of ECM as a viable resource among homeless youth, and cell phones provide the greatest promise in engaging youth in ECM. Even when contact was attempted through a phone call by a case manager, youth more frequently responded via text, a trend that was also highlighted in youth's quantitative descriptions of their experience participating in electronic case management. So if we have a system that just sends out information rather than actually having a person do this calling and do this information, we can make the repetition of engaging with the case management, the electronic case management from the client, and now they're starting to get used to this being the process. Oh, well, I will be expecting someone to reach out from me to me, an automated system to reach out to me and check and see if I need anything. And if I do, I can send it in, and at that time, I can get that help. If I don't need any help, then I can just let them know that I don't need anything and we can move forward and go on to see if we can help someone else that may need that help right this moment. The ECM can help improve relations between homeless youth and outreach workers because trust the process, will increase in the process, and it will increase in the system that's there to help them. The decreased spending from virtual case management will be extras that can be allocated to the SOP program. Lifelines will help to ensure that the ECM is a success. But better private sector and governmental support is necessary to sustain such programs in high demand for low income individuals. The conclusion is we need to do more to help this population. Current approaches need to be amplified in the area of outreach workers because they can touch base with the clients more frequently and can get more detailed information and build that trust and knowing that no one's trying to find out their information so that they can be sent back. No, people are trying to help them get the resources that they need so that they can move to the next phase in their lives and become successful and see that society do care. Electronic case management is needed to increase clients' trust and decrease the budget that's being spent on employees in that area. These employees can be retrained to go into other areas like becoming outreach workers rather than the case management aspect. Some of the extra funding that may be needed to transition and to start the process of building a bigger budget for this group will be a possibility of coming from maybe increased corporate taxes on alcohol and tobacco companies. And the allocated extra funds can then go into these areas and help to sustain and facilitate better resources and increase resources to help all types of homeless youth, be it if they're there because of their sexual orientation, if they're a teen parent, whatever it may be. As society, we must address this problem because it can only lead to negative implications on communities later on. And that will be the end of this presentation. I hope that everyone understands and sympathize with this population and want to do more to help them. Thank you.